Now, let's look at another development that the Foreign Affairs Minister broke on his X page yesterday, and it got all of us in a state of shock. So the Daily Post today has reported it. The story is here on page 7, and it's about some development in Nigeria, both Nigeria and Ghana. So it says, suspect arrested in illegal sale of Ghana High Commission property in Nigeria for $1.5 million. Now, it says the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ablakwa, has announced the arrest of Bright Mensah Bonsu, a man accused of illegally selling a property of the Ghana High Commission in Nigeria. According to Ablakwa, Mensah Bonsu, who was a special aide to former Ghana High Commission to Nigeria, Commissioner to Nigeria, the late Alhaji Rashid Bawa, received $1.5 million and a signed fake document in a transaction. He said that the $1.5 million was paid into the accounts of Mensah Bonsu and the transaction was not documented by the mission. Okay. It is important to emphasize that the $1.5 million cash was not paid into the government accounts. Neither is there any record at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that the cash was officially declared. Documents reveal that Bright Mensah Bonsu and his collaborators had valued the prime Lagos, it's a Lagos beachfront diplomatic property at $5.3 million and considered the $1.5 million payment as the first installment. The outcome of the 2024 election must have thwarted their plans, the minister wrote in a post shared on X on Tuesday, April 15, 2025. Ablakwa, who is also the member of parliament for North Tong, also disclosed that the accused person is also a suspect on the issuance of the diplomatic passport. But Mensah Bonsu was not a staff member of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the Ghana High Commission in Nigeria, even though he was often seen in the company of the High Commissioner. As we await criminal prosecution shortly, it would be interesting to see how Mr. Mensah Bonsu backs his claim that he acted on the instructions of the superiors and that those superiors gave him access to documents on the diplomatic property. But, so the person who was buying the property, he, the person or she, could not tell that the documents that were being given to him or her were fake documents? Kwesi?
Well,
let me start with Kwesi.
There's no indication that the documents were fake.
Right.
What we do know is that this individual claimed to be representing the Ghana High Commission and offered this property, which had been valued at $5.3 million for sale, and that he allegedly,
yes,
collected $1.5 million of the money and kept it in his private accounts. Now, there are some intriguing aspects of this story. And one is that this guy was carrying a diplomatic passport. How did he come by the diplomatic passport if he's not an official? Because diplomatic passports are not just issued to every and anybody. So who authorized the issuance of a diplomatic passport to him? I think that the investigators may look at that. And I think it's too early yet for me to make extensive comments on this matter. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Sami Okudzeto Ablakwa, has already indicated that the investigative authorities...
So that's the chap in your shot?
Yes. The investigative authorities are looking into the matter. I don't think that there's a rush. There's a need to rush to make comments and so on. Let's wait for the outcome of the investigation.
Okay.
But this is a very, very strange case. Extremely strange case.
I see.
Well, I think, like Kwesi put it, the whole case for now appears nebulous a bit.
Yeah.
Even though, because if what you read is what we should go by.
So for now, we're going by Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa's account of what happened.
If what you read is what we're supposed to go by, it raises series of questions. First of all, the said property was a sale sanctioned or ordered by the ministry, because all missions are under the ministry. We first need to establish that. And if it was, the officers who were detailed to go and assist or collaborate with the mission in Nigeria for the sale to be done, who are they? And what was the process? Because he talked about valuation being done. Who valued it? Who sanctioned the valuation? So we need first to establish. I think Okujato should be able to give us details. In any case, he shouldn't be speaking to this matter anyway. I'm surprised the minister is rushing to speak to this matter yet. I would have expected that if there's some element of criminality that has come up, security agencies that picked up the gentleman, who will be charging the gentleman and all those things, maybe if the need be, okay, the PRO of such entities should be speaking. Or my good brother, diplomatically, I say he shouldn't be speaking because he is representing Ghana and the president diplomatically. And some of these things, if wrongs are established, obviously, the buyer we don't even know who is, whether it's a Nigerian, whether it's an institution in Nigeria, whether it's what, it brings diplomatic connotations there. So if you are not careful, and then you, who is supposed to be at the helm of affairs, start speaking before even the investigations are carried out and come out, you may wrongfully injure our diplomatic relationships at a point, depending on who is involved. So I would have thought that my brother Okujato should not be the one.
We have no idea who is involved.
Absolutely, we have no idea. That's why I said it raises a lot of questions. It's nebulous.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, I don't really. Yes, we may decide to rent our properties out there as a mission. We may decide to sell our property out there as a mission. Ghana holds a lot of properties. In Saudi Arabia, we have land in Riyadh, okay, that was given to us, or that was procured. Under Sinari, we attempted to, Ambassador Sinari, to develop it. Ambassador Habib Tijani came, a whole lot of issues. We've not done that yet. It doesn't mean go and sell something. In Saudi Arabia, in fact, we are among missions that own their own property. Some time back in 1989, under Rawlings, we procured a building in Saudi Arabia. Right. 2 buildings, in fact. That's which houses the consulate in Jeddah. So we have properties out there. All I want to say is that, look, when issues happen beyond our jurisdiction and connote some diplomatic tendencies, we should be careful not to put rush to the media with some of these things until, okay, the entire investigation is conducted and established, okay, what it is that you think we should consume, then we bring it out. But for now, I will limit myself to whether or not the ministry actually sanctioned a sale like that, to whether or not the gentleman indeed worked with the commission, with the High Commission there, and to whether or not indeed the said sale, because the questions raised was that the money was not paid into our account. So were they expecting the money to be paid into the Ghanaian account? So it means that there was some, with all respect, knowledge. Because if you are saying that the money should have gone to our account, maybe you were expecting some money. I don't know all this. And
no,
all
not,
this
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
The question,
the issue is this, that yes, we have a problem with the sale of this property. But let's even say granted, and I'm not holding brief for the Foreign Affairs Ministry. I get from the reading of the story that, let's even say granted, that the Foreign Affairs Ministry at the time, under Sheila Yoko had agreed that the property should be sold. He would expect, that
due process
exactly, that the monies would be put into a certain account, which can be accounted for in a transparent and open manner. I guess that's where he's coming from. Not necessarily to say that, he was expecting, or he knows about the sale of the property. But of course, as a ranking member of Foreign Affairs, perhaps he should have been privy to some information regarding this transaction. So yes, that will admit.
But I think if there is wrongdoing, look, nobody is above the law. For me, I think that no one is above the law in this country. And if we establish any wrongdoing, let it come up, okay, and let's deal with it. Whoever is supposed to be culpable, let the law deal with the person, as it were. But as we sit, I always go with the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Because sometimes when issues are half-baked, you can't speak to it to its logical conclusion. Let's see how it unfolds anyway. And again, my advice is that the minister shouldn't be rushing to the media with some of these things quickly. Because of the diplomatic status that he has, We may seek to say, let's let somebody look bad. Some administration did
But
but it's not the
but
case.
the issue
anyway,
about
but
the
we should be
diplomatic
careful.
implications that this may have
Yeah.
on this story, that's only dependent on whether the person who is involved in this transaction is a foreigner.
And you don't know that, and I don't know that.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. It would only kick in if, for instance, the person involved in
We
it,
don't
I'm
even
saying
know the buyer.
allegedly, we don't know the bias. But I'm just saying that, you keep bringing this issue about it may have
Yes,
diplomatic
yes.
implications.
Yes.
But it's dependent on who the buyer is. If the buyer is a Nigerian, okay, if the buyer is a Nigerian, then I'm sure that your argument will kick in. But because we don't know the person,
We don't know. That's what I'm saying.
we may want to maybe pipe down on this issue about diplomatic implications. So anyway,
And,
so
and
I
but let me also try to make this clear. I'm going to raise the issue of whether or not somebody can hold a diplomatic
passport. Yes, if the person is not
if the
sanctioned by
person
the
is
Foreign
not
Affairs
sanctioned.
Ministry.
Yeah. I think when you look at it, it's largely discretionary.
Okay.
The issuance of diplomatic passport and service passport is largely discretionary.
Okay.
I know with respect to diplomatic passport, the president and the minister, the president of course delegates the minister to ensure such issuance, as well as even service passports. That is why a letter must come either from the mission, either from an institution. There are institutions, of course. You even have somebody working at the ministry having a diplomatic passport, depending on the work the person is going to do.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's largely discretionary in that regard.
Okay.
I'm not saying that the gentleman is fit to have it, but because it's discretionary and depending on reasons that is given per letters that have been written to and for activity to be done, maybe a person can be given such a passport, as it were.
All right.